In the fall of 2016, a lot of interesting things were happening during the months leading up to the next legislative session. Among the greatest of these was the meeting of the Sunset Review Committee, where multiple discussions were to be had about the fate of our licenses as school psychologists. Zach and I, both poli-sci majors, discovered we had a common interest in politics and began devising plans to get involved. We set up various meetings with our state representatives and senators to ask them to support some key issues, specifically changing the titles of our licenses from LSSP to School Psychologist, allowing us to practice in private schools, and giving school psychologists more representation on our state board. Jean, Susan, and I volunteered to represent the LSSPs in the San Antonio area and signed up to testify at the Sunset Review meeting. We drove to the state capitol that day in December of 2016 after recruiting 11 other school psychologists to come with us, as well as several of our special ed administrators and support staff. At the hearing, Jean went first and did an incredible job talking about the undue stressors placed on all licensees under our state board. I went next and spoke about the confusion between the role of LSSPs compared to school counselors, licensed psychologists, and licensed psychological associates. I talked about the lack of understanding from the public at large about what an LSSP was, because the title was confusing and often created challenges with our ability to help children. I included a handout with my testimony that the chairman of the committee referenced and complimented me on, and I remember feeling so proud. Susan also spoke about her perspective as a parent of a child with special needs and how important it was for our students to be represented by someone with credentials recognized by the public. The recommendations made by the Sunset Review Committee gave us the momentum we needed to ask our state legislators to author bills that would address our concerns. We continue to request meetings with legislators, including Diego Bernal, Four Price, and Roland Gutierrez. By the beginning of the legislative session in the spring of 2017, we had convinced Roland Gutierrez to author a bill to address the name change. Some of you may have noticed the original copy of the bill hanging in our office. It was titled House Bill 627, which attempted to work the title of school psychologist into the occupations code. Ultimately, it did not make it out of committee, but some of the language was included in Senate Bill 2001, which actually made it out of committee and gave us great hope. That bill, too, was ultimately unsuccessful, but we continued to push forward. We were also instrumental in providing language to the cyberbullying bill, House Bill 306, best known as David's Law, where I drafted some suggestions to add to the bill that would include the use of the term school psychologist as providers of mental health services in schools. Clearly, these efforts did not result in successfully passing legislation that helped us with the name change, which was disappointing and motivating all at the same time. Throughout 2018 and 2019, Zach and I continued to request meetings with various legislators, taking advantage of every opportunity to promote the practice of school psychology and work the title of school psychologist into all of our conversations. We've hosted congressmen in our office, taken lobbyists to lunch, and sat nervously in more legislators' lobbies and conference rooms than I can count. When the pandemic began, we had to shift our focus to saving our business and put a pause on our mission. And now here we are in 2023, and it's finally happened. I wish I could have been more a part of the final efforts to push the name change across the finish line, and I'm so grateful for all the school psychologists who worked so hard to build a case for this leading up to this most recent legislative session. It's been quite a journey. I'm proud to finally call myself a school psychologist and to share in this historical change to our profession with all of the awesome school psychologists at hand.